Hello and welcome to this tutorial on changing eye color in Photoshop. So we're going to take this image here and we're going to change the color of the eyes. You can see here I've already got the group created, but I'm going to go ahead and delete the group and the contents. So we're going to start over again. So first we want to make a selection of the eyes, and in Photoshop the object selection tool is probably your best bet for this, although you can try the quick selection tool or the magic wand tool as well. But for this I found this relatively new tool works quite well. So we scroll over the eyes, and the algorithm Photoshop uses makes the selection. Make sure you have add new selection when you're making the second selection enabled. Otherwise it'll just create a new selection and deselect the previous one. So next thing we're going to do is we need to soften up these edges a little bit just to make the adjustment look a little bit more realistic when we come to changing it. You can change the way you view these selections here, how it's masked off. Sometimes it's easier just to use on white, for instance, for this, but it depends on the image you're looking at, and you can scroll the transparency up and down if you wish so. So we're just going to add a little bit of smoothing, about 15, and then a little bit of feathering, not too much, and about half a pixel is probably enough for this image, and click OK. You can see I've selected a little bit extra on this image, but we'll use a mask to mask that out when we get to that stage a little bit later. So I'm going to create a blank layer, and then I'm going to use the paint bucket to fill that blank layer with a color. And it's important that it's any color other than black and white. So here I'm going to choose just this red color. It doesn't matter what color it is initially because we can change it. Both eyes fill there, you can see, because we have the contiguous selection selected in the tools for the paint bucket. So next of all we need to just I'm just going to deselect that selection, or you can do Control D, and then we're going to change the blending mode to overlay. So with overlay selected, you can now see the eyes look red. This is maybe not such a realistic color that we want to use for this one. So we're going to change the color using an adjustment layer by going to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and Hue Saturation. And I'll just change the name of this layer to Eye Color. Okay. So sliding the hue slider, you can see initially it changes the colors of the entire image, which is a problem. We only want to change the colors of the layer below, so we have to create a clipping mask, and that's done by going to Layer and Create Clipping Mask. And now you can see it's only affecting our eye color. So we can turn the hue. I think green is a good color for this. I'm turning the saturation slightly down and the lightness up to make it look a little bit more realistic. Next I want to mask out some of those extra areas that I mentioned. So first I'll just call my layer, give it a name Eyes, and I'm going to create a mask on this layer to mask out those extra areas. So if I click down here to add mask in the the layers panel, and I'm going to select next my paintbrush, or P on the keyboard, and I'm going to select a soft round brush. You can use the square bracket keys to decrease or increase the size. We're going to zoom in a little bit just to make it a little bit easier for us to see what's going on. At the moment I have the flow also turned down to about 90, so it's not at 100%. Yeah, you also have to make sure that you have black selected. So just do the corners of these eyes. The great thing about masking is if you make an error, it doesn't matter, you can go back and paint it in by changing back and painting the color white back in. So just get rid of this extra green on the eyelid, and that should do it. So you can see on the layer mask the little black spots appearing where we're masking out some of that layer. Now with them both selected, we'll put these into a group. It's just good housekeeping. So if we go to Layer and then Group Layers, and then we have a nice group, we can call that Eye Color. It's just good practice in Photoshop. If you're using a lot of layers, it might get confusing. It's good to group them together, especially the ones that are related to each other. So turning it on and off, you can see we now have a nice eye effect. Okay, thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope it was helpful.